is high time to begin the third day of the conference. Before we move on to the more official opening, I would like to remind you that unfortunately there is no more interpretation into Polish, so everything here is in English. And if you are joining us on stream, do not look for Polish interpretation, for it is not there. Still here locally, we have our volunteers who will definitely be helping you whenever you need that help. And they wear all the gray t-shirts of the Warsaw University. We are being streamed, just in case, so the people present here in the hall know. All right, and then it is time to start the official beginning. It's Friday, 6th of June, 9:15 Central European Summertime. We're starting a tad bit late, making a little concession for the inclement weather. The weather in Poland is always inclement, especially when the sun shines and we melt down. So Warsaw is like tropics today. Ladies and gentlemen, but it is absolutely high time to add to that heat and begin the third day of the European Mobilities Polish Presidency Conference, subtitled Challenges and Opportunities for Socio-Economic Transformations. May I welcome all the participants, whether here in the room or in their living rooms watching us remotely. Welcome, thank you, thank you, thank you for being with us today, the third and the last day of the conference. It is organized by the University of Warsaw, its Center of Excellence in Social Sciences, and the Center of Migration Research, with the support of National Science Center, Poland, and the National Center for Research and Development, known here as NCBR, and of course the Ministry of Science and Higher Education of the Republic of Poland. It is one of the key events of the Polish presidency of the Council of the European Union, and we are very grateful to the European Union for funding. We are also very grateful for co-funding to the government of the Republic of Poland. Our honorary patrons are the two committees of the Polish Academy of Science, the Committee on Migration Research and the Committee on Demographic Studies. Our media partners are TOK FM and OKO Press. And our session on currently open 2025 calls for proposals of all destinations of Cluster 2, Culture, Creativity and Inclusive Society, will begin shortly. What is Cluster 2? Well, it's EU's way to mobilize expertise of European social sciences and humanities to understand fundamental contemporary transformations of society, economy, politics and culture. Current Cluster 2 calls opened on the 15th of May and will close on the 16th of September. Our distinguished speaker, Magdalena Bem-Andrzejewska, is the Director of Polish National Contact Point for Horizon Europe at NCBR, and she will delve for us into all three Cluster 2's destinations: democracy, cultural heritage and creative industries, and social and economic transformations. Following her presentation, there will be a 90-minute session with only a technical break in between, so please don't leave the room. And in that latter section, 6 experts will navigate opportunities and challenges and speak about early career researchers in transnational projects. And that is where the conference will end. However, there will be a special accompanying after conference. Madam, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for this introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and partners, actual and future beneficiaries of Horizon Europe, it is my great pleasure to welcome you all to today's Info Day, matchmaking and networking event held as part of the fantastic conference Europe and Mobilities Challenges and Opportunities for Socio-Economic Transformations. This event is dedicated to exploring opportunities within Cluster 2 of Horizon Europe, Culture, Creativity and Inclusive Society, with a special focus on the 2025 calls related to migration and mobility. It is a space for dialogue, collaboration and the forging of new partnerships that will shape the future of European research in this domain. Let us begin by acknowledging the impressive scale and impact of Cluster 2. To date, 338 projects involving almost 2,400 organizations from 86 countries have been funded. with a total net contribution of 1.1 billion euros. These projects are not only advancing academic knowledge, but also informing policies, strengthening social cohesion, and fostering inclusive societies across Europe. Poland has emerged as a strong and growing contributor to this effort, with 83 Polish organizations participating in 108 projects and a total funding of 40.5 million euros. Poland ranks 9th among EU 27 countries in terms of funding received. When we narrow our focus to the mobility and migration theme within Cluster 2, the numbers speak of 42 projects involving 344 organizations from 51 countries, which have received a total of 118.6 million euros in funding. This represents 11% of the total Cluster 2 funding. Poland's contribution here is particularly noteworthy. 14 Polish institutions are involved in 20 projects, receiving 5.8 million euro in funding, placing Poland 7th among EU 27 countries. Nearly half of all projects in this thematic area include Polish partners. Among the most active institutions is the University of Warsaw, our today's hosts, participating in 8 projects. Other key players include the Jagiellonian University and the Warsaw School of Economics, demonstrating the strength and diversity of Poland's academic landscape in this field. It is my pleasure to stress that this Info Day matchmaking and networking event has been prepared and is being led by the National Contact Point for Horizon Europe, functioning in the structures of NCBR. The driving force and guiding spirit behind this initiative has been Mikołaj Pyczak, NCP, expert for Cluster 2 for Poland. This expertise and commitment are instrumental in supporting stakeholders in navigating the Horizon Europe program and maximizing their participation and impact. Mikołaj will be your host and guide for the rest of the day. Do not hesitate to contact him today and in the future. Today's event is more than just a meeting. It's a launchpad for future collaboration. Whether you represent a university, a research institute, a public body, or a civil society organization, your presence here signals a commitment to building a more inclusive, resilient, and forward-looking Europe. Let us use this opportunity to exchange ideas, identify synergies, and build consortia that will shape the next generation of Horizon Europe projects. I wish you all a productive and inspiring day. May this event spark new connections, bold ideas, and impactful collaborations that will resonate far beyond this room. Thank you very much. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Mina Stareva, our guest from the European Commission, DG Research, who will present the Cluster 2 calls 2025. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me first to be here. Thank you very much for this excellent presentation, because I think it's easy to speak after you. You have said almost all the details, almost all the scope of the work program, which is fantastic. And I also wanted to thank for the warm welcome of actually our moderator of today. So my name is Mina Stareva. I'm Deputy Head of Unit in Digital Research and Innovation, unit responsible for health and societal transitions. But most importantly, it's the unit which coordinates the work on Cluster 2. So we actually liaise with different co-chairs, as we call them, from DG Employment and Social Affairs, from DG Education and Culture, from colleagues working on democracy and European values, and we bring that together. And it's also the unit which is responsible for social sciences and humanities integration, which actually provides opportunity for funding beyond Cluster 2. What we have today, it's an information day on Work Program 2025. So just a reminder, the Work Program 2025, it's a common process. It's co-developed with member states, with researchers, with stakeholders, And the engagement as in such an info days, but also the conferences of yesterday and the day before is crucial for us also in the European Commission to shape the scope of the work program. So for this, thank you very much. So going into the topics of today, so I have an introduction to Cluster 2, Culture, Creativity and Inclusive Societies, as a reminder of the key objectives, so which actually reflect the 3 destinations of Cluster 2, and the 4 expected impacts defined by Horizon Europe Strategic Plan. You would see 2025-2027, because now we have a work program that covers 1 year, and then by the end of this year or early next year, we will have also the work program, so 2026-2027. The overall aim of the current work program is to bolster the resilience of democratic systems, protect them from threats, and enhance citizen participations under Destination 1, safeguard and promote cultural heritage, and support innovation in CCIs, it's the culture and creative industries, and anticipate socio-economic, technological, and cultural transformations. This is actually the topic of discussions from the last 2 days, to provide evidence-based policy for a socially just, fair, and inclusive Europe. So zooming into the challenges, zooming into the challenges that we are asking the research community to respond in the area of democracy and governance. You would see we have 12 topics in total, 8 research and innovation actions, 4 coordination and support actions. If they are absolute newcomers, of course, we can discuss in the technical breaks the difference between these type of actions under the work program. So, this is a packed slide which actually sets the scene. So here you would see all the 12 topics that will be funded under Destination 1. And here we actually would like to focus on 3 main areas. The first area is actually would cover the global challenges confronted by our democracies, where you would see, for instance, a network to counter disinformation and foreign information manipulation. But also coordination and support action to support coordination of European science diplomacy. The second focus area that we have on the slide would aim to increase the resilience of democracy in the face of external and internal threats. And finally, the third focus area, because of course our democracy, they not only need protection and defense, but they also need promotion and enhancement. So you would see topics that would actually call for research on trust in governance and in the rule of law, including independence and efficiency of the judiciary, the impact of economic inequalities on democracy, and the role of civic and citizens' education for strengthening democratic participation. You would see, for those that have attended also the conference of the last 2 days, these topics have been in the margins of most of the discussions. Going to the second destination, I'm playing with actually 2 different slides. So going to the second destination, which is on cultural heritage and culture and creative industries, there we have a variety of funding. So a huge novelty, it's the launch of a co-funded partnership on resilient cultural heritage, which is a public-private partnership, and it's for the first time that under Cluster 2, we have such a partnership where actually agencies from member states and associated countries join forces to fund joint projects. So what is important here, of course, going beyond the cultural heritage partnership, we are actually looking into projects that are designed to support innovative use of technology for documenting and preserving cultural heritage, leveraging AI for developing the creative sector, and culture as a means for conflict prevention and a catalyst for post-conflict reconciliation. There is also a topic which is a very important one and dear also, let's say, to our commissioner and our management, is the topic on the power of arts and culture for health and well-being. And you would see that actually the European Commission is currently doing lots of efforts to work towards improving mental health / societal well-being. So going to the destination 3, which is actually a destination which covers most of the socioeconomic transformations on the agenda also of the last few days, and where I would spend most of the time. You would see we have 11 topics, so 10 research and innovation action and 1 coordination and support action linked to migration. So this destination, we often say that it's a little bit like a mirror of our society, and it's probably where co-creation happens the most. This is where we work mostly with DG Employment and Social Affairs, with the DG Education and Culture, but also Director General for Justice, for Artificial Intelligence and Informatics, etc. So there are 11 topics, but that cover quite a variety of policy areas. So let me start probably with education. So the European Commission is putting a very high priority on education and training, and already with the new political agenda, we have adopted what we call the Union of Skills, which has the great ambition to quickly close the skills gap and to strengthen the education and training systems. So the Union of Skills actually broaden the scope and the understanding of basic skills beyond what is maths, literacy, science, and digital skills, to include also citizenship skills, with the aim to preserve our democratic order, and of course to counter the spread of disinformation. So you would understand that this is very much on the agenda also of the topics that we have in 2025. Going beyond education, the Union of Skills is also about, of course, labor market, and I must say that in the previous work program we have funded quite a lot of projects already that would address the shortages of skills or enhance social dialogue. And this is the beauty of our actually work programs, that they are not dealt in isolation, that there is a narrative, a story behind, and we try to complement. And very often when you see a topic description, you would see that we encourage the proposals to actually liaise with the projects that have been funded in previous years, to try to cluster those and to, to learn from each other, and therefore strengthen the expertise and the impact of the projects. There are several initiatives that are policy initiatives that are on the table and that are announced. One of them is the Quality of Jobs Roadmap, which actually aims to improve working conditions, addressing precarious employment, promoting well-being at work. And there is another very important strategy that is in the preparation in the European Commission, which is the first ever anti-poverty strategy. So you would see that our expectations are that the topics under this destination, they actually contribute to these two strategies, where you would see topics on well-being at work or unfair practices in the economy. There is a topic on working time reduction, so barriers, benefits, policy implications. A very important topic also on gender differences in career trajectories, and a topic on improving fairness in the economy through a better understanding of undeclared or underdeclared work. Another important priority that is also covered by this destination, but not only, is, I mentioned it already, it's people's well-being, in particular when it comes to mental health, which is, we have adopted recently, well, time flies, 2023, a communication on mental health, but the President of the European Commission announced that youth mental health is now a political priority, and youth aspects in mental health are to be addressed in all the policies and strategies that the European Union is actually supporting and developing. Therefore, we actually came with a topic that is specifically dealing with mental health, focus on youth, but looking into the trajectories from education to so life cycle trajectories. It's rather different, not very common topic to be seen in cluster 2, because it focuses on scaling up. So basically, this is what we badly miss sometimes in the research innovation projects, which is the follow-up. So once we fund the project, what do we do afterwards? So with this topic, we experience a new approach where we would like to see proposals to actually come with innovative approaches on how to build on what has been already developed, and how to come with scaling up person-centered interventions. Linked to this topic, it's also a very important topic on intergenerational fairness, where actually so far very few projects have been funded by our program addressing some specific aspects on intergenerational fairness. So for instance, looking into inequalities, but knowing that this is again a priority for the European Commission, we are also developing a strategy on intergenerational fairness. We actually urgently need to strengthen our knowledge base, hence this topic that is also very much pushed for by member states. I think that I would like to draw your attention also on three topics that remain still unmentioned. So 2 research and innovation actions that support the principles under the European Pillar of Social Rights, namely gender equality and inclusion of persons with disabilities. So one topic will fund new research on tackling gender-based violence in different social and economic spheres, including actually the world of work, sports, online platforms, so quite a diversity. And another topic, which is the first topic ever that we actually focus only on disabilities, it's the topic that aims to increase the autonomy of persons with disabilities to actually promote their full inclusion in our societies, education, work, employment, culture, arts, sport, etc. But also, as a second pillar of this topic, the quality of life of persons with disabilities and also of their families. So it's a topic that has been very much welcomed by the scientific community and also by member states, also of the recognition of the issues, because so far very often disabilities have been supported as part of group of inequalities, so we wanted to put important emphasis on this. And finally, there is a topic on migration. It's a coordination and support action, which actually aim to look into the intersection of migration and environmental degradation, so including the broader impacts of climate change. So this is in a nutshell the topics that we have. So of course, we can speak either after this presentation, after Mikla, of course, during the technical break on some specific aspects of these topics. What I have also foreseen to share with you, of course, very important, burning, is the deadline. But so this deadline is 16th of September, do not forget it. I have a very technical slide for you to see. And this is probably an opportunity for me to mention that I'm extremely pleased that actually here there is also a colleague with me who is working in the executive agency in the European Union, so looking into the implementation aspects of the project. So he's our golden star here, and they do slides like this. So this is to remind you that out of the 32 topics that we have in Cluster 2, 2025, there are 2 topics that are 2-stage. So what does it mean? So there is a 2-stage preparation proposal scheme, which would allow that at the first stage, projects actually submit a shorter application, which focuses on impact, on the objectives, etc. And then only those that are highly ranked, they would actually have the opportunity to submit a full application by 17th of March. So only 2 topics actually are suggesting this 2-stage application model. And I just wanted to bring your attention on the 2 different deadlines. But the deadline that broadly we need to recall, it's the 16th of September. Going to my last slide, it's on the tips. And here is actually where your national contact point is the person to be. The office of the NCP is the place to be, because they are the most knowledgeable actually to advise and to help you and to guide you during this process of preparing a proposal. I heard already that Poland has an excellent track record, so this is fantastic. Congratulations, and I can only wish that actually this tendency even increases. I would like to remind you and so that you are also not disappointed, is that we actually have had an information day on Cluster 2, official information day in the European Commission on the 15th of May. And here on this slide, you have the recordings of this information day. When you click on this recordings webpage, you would see a very detailed explanation per topic for each destination, with expected impact, etc. You would see the practical tips from the executive agency on how to prepare your proposals, where to find information. You would see also some tips on how to include those very often considered as, oh my God, another burden, cross-cutting aspects, such as international cooperation, gender equality, etc., but they are extremely important. And this is the last slide where I would actually wanted to have for you some more information, because of course, one of the best advice one would give you is first to read well the topic and all the related information. So before starting submitting a proposal, be aware of the full text of the topics. Asterisks and footnotes are important, but also the general annex is linked, of course, also to also eligibility criteria, etc. And with this slide, of course, I put some effort to prepare this last slide, but this is, of course, extremely important because it's easy to present. It's extremely difficult to build in the consortium and to prepare a proposal. And I think that this is the best way actually to hand over to Mikolaj, who would guide you also through all the activities that the national contact points perform. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mina, for your kind introduction. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mikołaj Pyczak. I work for the National Contact Point at National Center for Research and Development in Poland. And my sole responsibility is to help all the Polish stakeholders who are interested in taking part in Cluster 2 calls for proposals of Horizon Europe. So with this presentation, I want to tell you how we work as NCP. Of course, I will use an example of our Polish NCP, but through the NCP standards that we all need to follow, you can expect the same quality of service with your national contact points in your respective countries. So for us, the Polish National Contact Point, we are a group of over already 50 experts who work together with the European Commission, and we support the process of implementing the EU framework programs. The Horizon Europe is the current framework program that we provide support for our Polish stakeholders from various areas, the research, the academia, large, small industry, NGOs, whatever entities that are interested in taking part in Horizon Europe activities. Our doors are open, and you are most welcome to get in touch with us, and we can discuss how we can help you. So actually our whole team, many of us work together for over 20 years now, and since November of 2020, our team has become a part of National Center for Research and Development, and our 50-plus team is focusing only on Horizon Europe. So we deal with all the aspects of all the pillars, with all the horizontal activities. We provide support for financial and legal matters that are evolving around the Horizon Europe projects. We provide various types of trainings, workshops, conferences, info days like today. We can help you out with consulting your project ideas at beginning stage, at advanced stage. We also work with our stakeholders who are already running their projects. So we consult them, for example, on financial or legal matters, if need be. We, of course, have our own portal where we provide information for our Polish community, but also recently we have launched our English version to reach out further to European stakeholders as well. And as I said, I based this presentation on the case of our team, but as we all follow the European Commission's standards and principles for NCP operations, you can and you will have the same level and quality of service with your national contact points at your respective countries. So for us, we have several groups of services that we provide, like trainings and workshops and different events, like the example of the one that we have today. But we have different trainings, from the basic trainings about Horizon Europe up to very advanced trainings for more experienced stakeholders. We also have consultations on proposal ideas when you come with a draft of the idea, and then we can see how it fits into work programs, what has to be adjusted, or maybe it's good already from the beginning, and then we provide you with our support on the preparation of your project, both from the idea point of view, but also from the legal and financial as well. Given that we are members of European networks of national contact points, we of course work together with our colleagues from around Europe, so we can provide you with partner search services, both locally as Polish or other countries' NCPs, but also as a network of NCPs. And in any case, we also give advice and support and help on any financial or legal matters that may arise, both at the proposal preparation stage, but also during the actual project lifetime, because those things also tend to happen. We are not only focused here in Warsaw. We have a network that spreads around the whole country. We call them horizontal contact points, and they are basically located in 6. We have divided this into 6 areas of our country, so that the horizontal contact points can provide similar or equal quality and array of services, but they also have contacts at more local level. So they provide their services to the local fabric of the area they are responsible of. And this whole horizontal network is being financed and coordinated here in Warsaw through our NCP team at NCBR. So where to look for information, up-to-date information of what we have in plans and what's going on at the Horizon Europe level. So first of all, I think you should check and use our portal, where we always provide information about the events that we do, about the trainings that we organize, about calls that have been published or that are planned to be published. We have a newsletter which we publish quite a lot during every month, where we always focus on the most important information about Horizon Europe. And of course the social media, where we, for example, are posting information about the presidency events that took place in recent weeks and that are taking place right now, even today. So you are very much welcome to use our portal, to set up the account, to sign up for the newsletter. This is basically a main focal point for all the activities that we as Polish NCPs do. So what's there in Europe? Mina already kindly brought up the community portal in her presentation. So to let you know that our whole network of NCPs for Cluster 2 is gathered under the umbrella of Net for Society project. And within the Net for Society project, we have this flagship tool to support you as potential applicants. This is called our Net for Society community portal. If you have been using the brokerage tool of our today's conference, you might already know how it works, because basically our Net for Society community portal provides you with brokerage opportunities 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Basically, it works all the time. It provides you with tools that allow you to have brokerage meetings online. And most likely it will also host our future events, like the one that we had in May. We had an online brokerage event. We are planning to have, hopefully I am not going ahead, but we are planning to organize an on-site event for 2026 Cluster 2 calls next year. But this event will also be organized through our community portal. So yes, there are over 3,500 users there already, and it's growing basically every month. It bases its operation on the calls. So right now you can set up your profiles and you can fill in call topics that you are most interested in. You can browse the participants' profiles and set up meetings. So feel free to make the best use of it for you as possible. What else we provide as Net for Society? We run proposal check events. So if you have a project proposal idea, you can sign up for those events. We have opportunities catalog for social sciences and humanities, because it's not only Cluster 2 where your expertise can be applied. It's all the other clusters of Pillar 2, it's Pillar 1, Pillar 3. So we provide this catalog with opportunities and list of topics and descriptions of topics that have been flagged by the European Commission with a need of SSH intervention. And for current 2025 call, we expect the catalog to be published sometime in July. Of course, we have our own newsletter and social media, so feel free to use them as well. And for the final part, it's for everybody. It's for the future widening coordinators. It's the Widera Experts portal that provides you with free of charge facility to consult your project idea, to receive feedback from our evaluators, and to further on work on enhancing the quality of your future proposals. It's there for you. We kindly encourage you to use it. I see that many of you have been taking pictures for all our presentations. Don't worry, they will be posted as well on the website, hopefully next week. So with that, I thank you very much for your attention. I think we have time to take some questions. Yes, we have 10 minutes, so if there are any questions to any of us, now is the time.
Who would break the ice?
We see somebody with a microphone.
So there.
Hello, Marta Joszewicz, University of Warsaw. Thank you very much for excellent presentation. To Mina, very short question. Maybe it's too early that I didn't get the proper info. How, because you mentioned that one of the aims is also to make a better connection between social science and humanities. And I didn't hear how it works in practice, yeah? I mean, whether there are special calls or special, I don't know, frameworks for that. Thank you.
No, this is an excellent question on which I can speak for hours. So we will do it just the short way. How do we support social science and humanities in Horizon Europe? Two ways. One is through a specific dedicated cluster on SSH research, social science and humanities. This is cluster 2, culture, creativity, and inclusive societies, where all the topics are social science and humanities, covers disciplines, even though in destination 2, where you have culture and cultural heritage, culture and creative industries, you would see also representative from different STEM disciplines, etc. But this is where we support an SSH cluster. What we also do do is that we actually provide opportunities to SSH researchers to participate in calls beyond cluster 2. And the way I said it is actually very restrictive. It's not this. It's actually that we support the integration of research on SSH with STEM research, so that we support interdisciplinary research. And very often, within different clusters, be it on mobility, energy, health, artificial intelligence, so cluster 4, etc., you would see topics that are flagged as SSH relevant topics, which would mean that the proposals or the projects would need to include and to describe how they include SSH research, SSH expertise, SSH profiles within their project consortium. And if this is not the case, so the evaluation will also reflect that. So voilà, so these are two different aspects, and we try, because we know, we also said that yesterday, these are communities that are very difficult to bring together. And actually the network of national contact points, where of course you are part of it, it's called Net for Society. Each time a work program is published, they also publish a document which is called Opportunities for SSH Research, which is in the making because we just sent them actually the topics that are SSH flagged. So this should be published very soon, and I'm sure that you can find those information then on your portal about it. But I can speak more if you want, we can continue. One of the things that we do actually is how we become experts in everything, because of course very often when colleagues are developing topics, they don't think of SSH. So they don't think that developing an artificial intelligence or developing a transport roadmap or whatsoever would impact somehow women and men differently, or would impact somehow the society, etc. So we need to go there and to tell them, okay, what do you want with this proposal, with this topic? And so this is how we have sometimes better overview of the other clusters than on cluster 2 per se.
Thank you very much. I guess there is a question up on the right-hand side.
Thank you. Richard Farrell from Ireland, and wonderful to be in Warsaw. I was reading up on the cultural heritage side of it, where there was great emphasis placed on the multi-actor approach. Is that correct? Where the evaluation would be nearly 40% for an application project if you could produce the multi-actor approach. Could you emphasize that a little?
Well, this is an interesting question. So we spoke about SSH integration. This is so the integration of social science and humanities across different disciplines. And we have different models. And the multi-actor approach is in cluster 6. So there is the multi-actor approach where indeed some topics are SSH flagged. So the idea is that we bring civil society, NGOs, social sciences, scientists, and STEM research fields together, and if the topic is flagged as an SSH flagged topic, then this is also reflected in the evaluation. But in cluster 2, this is not the case. What one would see in cluster 2, in cultural heritage, is that within this cluster there is a special encouragement to include cultural and creative industries in the topic proposals. But this is not an eligibility criteria, this is not an evaluation, it's just an encouragement to have more representative from the cultural and creative industries.
You would still need to build the consortiums the same way.
Well, this is very prescriptive actually. We actually leave the freedom to the consortium to decide which are the best fit partners to actually achieve the expected impacts of the cluster and also the outcomes set in the specific topic. So there is no one-size-fits approach. It's just that we encourage the inclusion of culture and creative industries representatives.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have more questions from the hall? I'm looking around. This is your last chance to ask questions on this subject. Of course, you can drop one into our questions jar,
Yeah.
and then they all will be answered as promised. It's one of the sessions, so... No, I believe you've explained everything, so
Or nothing.
thank you very much. Let's put our hands together for the last panel.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now a very quick change. We have another session, Navigating Opportunities and Challenges, and we will hear about early career researchers in transnational projects. We will hear that from 6 experts, and it really warms the cockles of my heart to say that 4 out of 6, that 66% of the experts represent my alma mater, the Jagiellonian University in Krakow. After this session, there will be a short break for 11s or second breakfast, networking. Well, not that short, running for about an hour. And this is where the conference ends, terminates, concludes, finishes, comes to an end, closes, expires, and runs its course. But for now, the last session, and I can see that we already have all its members, plus both its chairs, Louisa Nienhuis from University College London and Sarah Perry, also from the University College London. Ladies and gentlemen, the time, the lectern, and the floor are yours.
Dzień dobry and good morning, and thank you very much for everyone who came here this morning to join us in the session Navigating Opportunities, Challenges, Early Career Researchers in Transnational Projects. Those of you who attended yesterday's session 7, European Research Area Potential in Social Science and Humanities, had the opportunity to hear from some chance project representatives from the Transformation Call and the industry partner about their work and collaboration. Today's session, we've got some of our presenters that are also part of the chance-funded projects. They're based in Poland, but they're from different projects, and what's more important, they're early career researchers in those projects. They will talk about some issues they're facing and other details about their career trajectories. For those who are unfamiliar with CHANCE, CHANCE stands for the Collaboration of Humanities and Social Sciences in Europe, and it is an initiative of 27 research funding organizations from 24 countries supporting research and social sciences in humanities. During this session, we aim to provide you with some snippets of what it is like to be an early career researcher, or ECR, involved in transnational projects and the opportunities and challenges they face within them. ECRs will grant us insight into how they have encountered and maneuvered key issues in their careers, such as career trajectories, job security, as well as access to funding. We'll hear about their perspective and experiences on challenges and opportunities that have shaped their academic careers thus far, as well as the role of mentors, host institutions, and funding agencies that have supported them. So how will the next 90 minutes go? First, we will hear from our ECRs in short presentations about the journey they've undertaken thus far, which will be followed by a short Q&A, which will help us transition into the discussion period. The panel discussion will be led by my co-moderator, Sarah Perry, who is the project lead of the chance-funded project Transforming Data Reuse in Archaeology, or TETRACS in short. Sarah is also the lead for the Chance Knowledge Exchange program, of which I'm also part of, along with co-I Anna Simandraki Grimshaw. To conclude the session, after we've having heard from our ECRs and what it means to be an ECR in a transnational project today, our ECRs would like to ask you some questions, get you involved in the discussion, you who are academics, industry partners, policymakers, funding agency representatives, and to get your valuable insights, tips and tricks of the trade, what could help them in their future and also in the future for other ECRs who are joining us online today. But before I hand over to our first speaker, this ginormous QR code, you might have seen it yesterday already. If you scan this, it'll get you to a website where you can put questions in for our speakers. We will triage them and then put as many out there to them as possible. If we don't manage to answer all of them, you're welcome to talk to them after the session as well. If you scan it now, you can submit a question, refresh the page, submit another question. There's no limit to it. And it's easiest if you scan it now, and they will come up later again. But if you've got it ready, it's ready. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Monica Goa, who is a second-year PhD student at the Doctoral School of Social Sciences at Jagiellonian University and is part of the chance-funded project DigiPatch, moving from networked to patchworked society.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for this introduction, and for the opportunity to speak to you today. This panel is dedicated to the stories of early career researchers in transnational projects. In this short presentation, I would like to first introduce you to the project that I am affiliated with and representing today. Then I will talk a little bit about some of my experiences as a young researcher. And finally, I will try to zoom in and focus on a couple of points that I consider the most important and relevant for this discussion. So a little bit about the DigiPatch project. This is a very brief telegraphic introduction. DigiPatch is a 3-year project led by Professor Małgorzata Kosowska of Jagiellonian University. Its main goals are to first explore how digital media, in particular social media and alternative political media, shift societies from sort of networked structures to more patchworked, fragmented ones. Then to understand why this is the case, in particular in terms of psychological, sociocognitive, and cultural factors that contribute to it. And finally, to outline what might be the consequences and societal implications of those changes. As you can see, our project spans 5 countries, and each country is leading different work package. And this diversity of the project manifests itself not only in different methods that are used to approach this problem, as you can see in the slides attached, but also in different disciplines that are represented in the project. Although we are mostly psychologists, and this is the perspective that we are approaching these issues with mainly, we also have media studies scholars as well as political scientists in the team. And although this type of multidisciplinarity and multinationality of the project presents many challenges, in particular coordinating this type of diverse team to work and actually produce some outcomes. I also think that this is very useful, in particular with issues that our project is concerned with, which are very sort of complex societal phenomena, which require, I think, multidisciplinary perspective to build a comprehensive picture. Okay, so now that you know something about the project, I will tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a PhD student at Jagiellonian University. You can see the entrance of my workplace on the picture attached. And my involvement in research began quite recently, because in early 2023, when I joined the DigiPatch project, still as a master's a student pursuing my master's degree in something completely different. So there was this period in which I was trying to combine those two activities. And later that year, I finished my master's and continued working in Digipatch as a PhD student strictly dedicated to that topic. Yes. So I think that I represent a relatively common career pathway, directly from being a master's student to pursuing a PhD program. And this is something that I think is well worth reflecting on, because that's not the only pathway, and it presents both challenges and advantages. There was something in a way very natural in me just going directly to the PhD program, in the sense that I even work in the same building that I studied in for 5 years. I just changed floors. And many of my coworkers used to be my teachers just a couple of months before I joined the project. And also, I would say that there is this element of immersion in the academic culture and in research that comes very much in hand in this transition, in the sense that the literature is just moving forward so quickly, and this pathway was like very swift. And if I left academia and tried to go back, there would be a little bit of keeping up that could be a challenge. I also think that this type of project came very much in hand at this stage of my career, in the sense that it exposed me to a variety of research situations and problems to solve that I might not have encountered otherwise. I obviously received a lot of training. However, there is something very, very didactic in actually encountering a research problem and trying to approach it in a way that makes a lot of sense, that you don't necessarily get from classes in school. And I also think that this type of project allowed me to maybe think in a more like expanded way, less sort of narrowly focused way in approaching my PhD and my dissertation, because obviously there are so many activities in the project that I think this type of perspective can be very useful. However, this also comes with many challenges, because actually finishing a thesis requires a certain degree of narrow focus. You need to dig into this topic that you're trying to write a dissertation about. So in many situations, it can be a distraction as well, and I think this is kind of on us to develop this balance. I also think that there are some disadvantages of in going into academia straight after master's as well. I hear from many colleagues that did work in industry right after their masters, that they were able to use their skills that they gained from this work, and not only to some extent actually the skills that they used in work, but also just to draw inspiration from the work they did outside of academia, which can be something that is missing if you go straight to pursuing your PhD after master's. And I also think that in some sense it can be a little bit more of a mature decision, in the sense that they've tried both worlds in a way, and if they change their minds, maybe transition back to industry would be easier than, say, for me, where I have a very scarce experience outside of academia at the same time when my peers are moving forward in their careers in various industries. And just to finish it up, because I think we're getting to the end, I would just like to say a little bit about the role of mentors and supervisors as well, but in general about the role of teachers. I think that this is absolutely crucial. I wouldn't have decided to go to pursue research if it wasn't for very many people who encouraged me and thought that maybe I could be worth something, and maybe I could do something interesting in research. In particular, I think that the role of supervisor is crucial. In my case, my topic selection was very much determined by the project aims, but within these constraints, my supervisor actually gave me a lot of freedom to just approach it in any way I want and basically do whatever I want as long as it's within our project goal interests. Okay, so I think I can finish with those reflections. Thank you very much for listening, and let's hear from another panelist.
Many thanks, Monica. Our next speaker is Dorota Wojciak. Dorota is a final year PhD student in the studies in culture and religions at the doctoral school and humanities at Jagiellonian University as well. And Dorota is a researcher in the Chance project, Digital Islam Across Europe, Understanding Muslims' Participation in Online Islamic Environments. Over to you, Dorota.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Dorota Wojciak, and I'm currently a PhD candidate at doctoral school in the humanities at Jagiellonian University. And my doctoral program is in the field of studies in culture and religions. And my academic interests are focused on so-called lived religion in Poland. Lived religion perspective looks at the way religion is actually practiced, believed, and experienced by people. For 4 years, I worked as a researcher in the project titled Religion, Mothering, and Identity Among Young Mothers, Experiences of Catholic and Muslim Women in Poland. And this project focused on how religious frameworks shape maternal identity and everyday practice of caring children. Within this project, I was especially engaged with the stories and experience of Polish women who converted to Islam. And when the project concludes, I have a feeling that some underexplored topics remained, which I would really like to research. So for me, the Digital Islam project, which I joined a few months ago, was a great opportunity to explore some of the unresolved questions from the Religion and Mothering project. So there is some continuity here, what is very important to my experience, I think. Let me tell you a bit about the Digital Islam project. This is a collaborative international research initiative that explores how Muslims across Europe engage with the online Islamic environments. The project is being carried out in 5 countries: Poland, Lithuania, Sweden, Spain, and United Kingdom. In Poland, the project is coordinated by the Warsaw School of Economics, SGH, and Professor Katarzyna Górak-Sosnowska. The project examines how diverse Muslim communities search for and offer religious advice in digital spaces, both formally and informally. And we are particularly interested in how these online interactions shape religious authority and influence the visibility of different content creators, women, migrants, etc. For me, this project has been a way to continue studying Polish women converts to Islam, this time focusing on their online practices, the kind of religious resources they seek and share digitally, and the spaces of digital exclusions of Muslims. For example, Polish Twitter, X, appeared to be especially hostile towards Muslims in Poland. One of the most valuable lessons I've learned from participating in these two projects is the importance of working in dialogue at every stage of the research process. Whether designing research questions, conducting interviews, analyzing data, or writing papers, collaboration has allowed for constant reflection, negotiation, and simply learning. And I think it's quite an unusual way of working in the humanities, whereas in social science it is probably much more popular. Despite all benefits of collaborative work, the academic world, especially in the humanities, still often operates under the myth of lone genius. The myth imagines research as a work of single expressional mind, isolated and independent. Its legacy of enlightenment and romantic traditions, where the scholar is seen almost like heroic figure producing knowledge alone in library. But real research, as many of us know from the experience, rarely looks like that. Even when we look at the foundational figures in my field, the study of religion, we see that their most influential works emerge through collaboration and dialogue. We can take Emil Durkheim, for example, not only a major sociologist, but also a key theorist of religion. His groundbreaking book, The Elementary Forms of Religious Life, was written in close intellectual partnership with his nephew, Marcel Mauss, another prominent anthropologist and scholar of religion. The exchange of ideas was crucial for shaping the theoretical core of their work. So even the so-called classics of our field worked, in fact, in collaboration. However, the myth of lone genius still seems to shame how success is measured in academia. The practical consequences of the popularity of lone genius myth are quite serious. First of all, academic prestige. Oh, it's not this slide. Academic prestige is still largely tied to individual authorship and accomplishments, often at the expense of collaborative and interdisciplinary efforts. Research funding structures often mirror this bias, favoring projects led by single principal investigator over those based on collective authorship or shared leadership. In this context, the chance was a great initiative trying to break the one leader-focused traditions. And this model, based on the lone genius myth, tends to obscure the contributions of early career researcher and reinforces the hierarchies within the academic institutions. However, I must say that in my case, I don't feel the last one, so the obscure of the contributions of early career researchers is my example. But sometimes I feel there should be more opportunities to apply for grants. With colleagues we work with on a daily basis in our institutions, for example, as co-investigators. I have the impression that while academia today strongly supports initiatives encouraging interinstitutional collaboration, cooperation within the same institution is often under-supported, especially in the humanities. So how we can challenge this myth? I have few rather vague ideas, but I leave this question open for your reflections, maybe. I think we need to shift the focus from breakthroughs by exceptional individuals to sustained contributions, process-oriented thinking, and collective knowledge building. We need to recognize researchers' contributions across all phases of research, including tool development, data gathering, and analysis. And we need to maybe develop new, more accessible pathways for research teams to collectively apply for funding. To conclude, I firmly believe that collaborative team-based research is not only more inclusive, but also leads to richer, more nuanced knowledge. Thank you for listening. I'd be happy to answer the questions.
Thank you very much, Dorota. Again, if you want to scan QR codes, ask questions, we will have them shortly after we've seen our presentations. So now that we've heard from our PhD candidates, we're now moving on to our postdoctoral researchers. First one is Aneta Pieczka. Aneta is assistant professor and postdoctoral researcher in the Department of Management at Kosminski University, where she's an active member of the chance project Humans in Digital Logistics, or short HULOG. Aneta.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me here. Thank you for the introduction. And my name is Aneta Pieczka. I work as postdoc at Kosminski University in the project Humans in Digital Logistics, which is called HULOG. And for today, I would like to share my experience from transitioning from HR field to academia, which I know is quite it's quite untypical direction, because the more typical is maybe transitioning the opposite. Yeah, but I would like to share my personal experience from that. And a couple of words about the HULOG projects. In this project, we investigate how digital technologies are reshaping work and employment conditions within European warehouses. And we approach this from the critical management studies. And our paradigm is very critical, or maybe not very, but it is critical, and I will refer to this later. We work in a consortium which is composed of 4 universities, one from Poland that I represent, Belgium, United Kingdom, and Germany. And one can ask, what was your motivation, or why did you exactly change your career path? What was your insight behind that? So to answer this question, I maybe elaborate on my story. So I graduated from Management and Quality Science in 2021 at Jagiellonian University. At the same time, I was working for the whole period of studying in different parts of industry. And after graduating, I became a mother, which was another challenge. And then I decided to transition to full-time scholarship in academia in 2023. And that was the time I joined the project HULOG. And my current research is driven by my HR experience. And I hope so, I can bridge the practice and theory by focusing on the human dimensions of digital logistics. This is my scope. And why did I do this? Of course, because of my personal interest and reflective attitude, desire to engage with socially relevant and complex questions. And I took a very long-term perspective on career development. I've been observing people in business who were at the top of their career in mid-30s, mid-40s. And I asked myself the question whether I would like to be here in such a moment. And that was one of my motivations, the strongest one, that I wanted to do something maybe deeper and maybe more reflective than just climbing the corporate ladder which wasn't never my dream. But of course, I had some initial challenges that shaped me in a way. First of all, adapting to new institutional expectations and academic norms. As you probably know, the business is operating under different conditions. It's much faster working in business than in academia. Understanding stakeholder dynamics in different national and academic contexts. In this project, we cooperate with different organizations, and I found it quite difficult to approach organizations in Polish context, because that is my point of view. The trust between business and academia, it's not very high here in Poland, and we needed to pursue and negotiate different steps just to access the organizations, right? So no disclosure agreements, months of negotiating, and different contracts with organizations. We need to anonymize all the data, and then they let us to access. In comparison to our colleagues from Western Europe, it was something completely different, because they were just, informally contacted some individuals, some officials, and that's it. And we needed to do in a very formal, procedural way. Next thing was my kind of identity question and tension. So I asked myself question, when would I truly define myself as a researcher? Am I still an HR practitioner, or am I a researcher now? So it took me some time to reflect on that and to understand that my previous experience is actually valuable in the field. Next thing is adjusting to diverse research paradigms, and this is something which is strongly connected with Polish academia, and I mean management studies in particular, because in here in management we mostly use quantitative methods. We want to measure everything, and we are very into questions like how to optimize processes, how to engage workers, how to broaden or how to take care of well-being of workers. And this, the paradigm of our project is quite different. It's more critical. So for me, that was kind of a surprise. And I started to research from the qualitative point, which was also new for me. I did my PhD based on quantitative studies, which are, as I said, typical for management in Polish academia. And now I'm researching by qualitative, and this is a great journey from my perspective. And last but not least, I think it's a nightmare of our society. I mean, the absence of immediate feedback or gratification, which is common in academia. We need some gratification, right? Like a society, we want some instant feedback. But in academia, you cannot expect that, right? You just need to work for a couple of years doing some maybe difficult job, and after that you can get some feedback, but it takes a lot of time. Yeah, so that was my initial challenges, but I think there is a huge role of my mentors and collaborative spaces, because I assume and I perceive the collaboration with mentors as the most crucial factor on this way. This is the unique opportunity to learn from leading scholars, not only from Poland, but also from Belgium, from the UK and Germany, which I find very valuable. The second thing is exposure to diverse academic cultures, which significantly enriches my academic development. I speak on a daily basis with my colleagues from different universities, different countries, and I think this is very developing from my perspective. Okay, so some reflections to sum up, to wrap up this transition. I think being a researcher is a huge and great journey. It gives us a freedom to explore meaningful and socially relevant questions. So this is great for me. On the other hand, we have an access to international networks, mentorship, and interdisciplinary collaboration, which I value a lot. And we have also a chance to shape emerging fields and contribute to ongoing social debates. But we also have to acknowledge our position, and this is our huge responsibility to recognize that it's a privilege to work in academia, because we somehow create the narratives around about words, and we need to be critically aware about how our research topics, paradigms, and methods shape the broader narrative. So the responsibility is even higher than opportunity, or maybe equal. And the last thing, engaging ethically with research participants, especially if we research very sensitive topics, like I mentioned at the beginning, that we research organizations and warehouses. So we basically interview, it is called low-skilled workers and people from, warehouses. It's not very sexy work to be in a warehouse, to work as a warehouse worker. So this is our huge responsibility, to shape the narrative in a proper way, to find the inequalities, and to engage in an ethically and respectful way, because this is just a sensitive topic, yeah. So for me, it's very important. Okay, I think that's it from me. Thank you for having me here, and yeah.
Thank you very much, Aneta. Our last speaker for now is Theophilus Giannopoulos. Theo is an assistant professor in social psychology at the Behavior and Crisis Lab, Jagiellonian University. And like Monica, he is a member of the Digital Patch project, From Network to Patchwork Society.
Thank you very much, Luisa. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us today, and thank you, Luisa and Sarah, for organizing this very interesting and self-reflective panel, I would say. A little bit about myself. Before that, actually, I have to say that I joined the same project with Monica Goab, DigiPatch, at Jagiellonian University in Krakow. Luisa? What I did here? The first one? Yes. Great, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm Theophilus Giannopoulos. I studied psychology in Pantheon University of Athens, graduating on 2012 with a first honors degree. Then I continued with a PhD in social and political psychology at the University of Surrey in London, and after some time with postdoctoral research in London, Greece, and Poland, I joined in October 2023 Jagiellonian University in Krakow, the Behavior in Crisis Lab, as assistant professor of social and political psychology. My main topic of expertise falls into three different areas. The first one is on conspiracy beliefs and misinformation, and I'm going to actually connect this expertise with my role in DigiPatch. The second one is trust in science and institutional communication, and also I have done some research on moral and emotional dimensions of political apologies. At the moment, I am more into the conspiracy beliefs, the psychology of conspiracy beliefs, and how conspiracy beliefs and misinformation is spread in media environments, but also in offline environments. And this is how I was very much interested in 2023, in October 2023, when I joined also the Behavior in Crisis Lab. I was very much interested in digipads, and I have to say I was a bit curious of how to make this misinformation and conspiracy theories more impactful and translated into real practice. I joined digipads on 2023. I have been active member of the consortium, mainly looking at the role of media use in spreading conspiracy beliefs, and how people via media channels and media environment endorse and spread conspiracy beliefs to make them more visible in the society. And actually, when joining digipads, I was just reflecting a bit on my PhD journey, and reflecting specifically on two major challenges which oftentimes PhD researchers and early career, I would say postdoctoral researchers encounter. One is internationalization of our research, and the other one is the development of transferability skills. Skills which we can actually develop from one project to another, and skills which help us bring our work in science, in experimental labs, in, I would say, controlled environments, to translate it into real practice and societal issues. To this end, I actually summarize my experience here and group my experience into key questions which somehow brought me to digipads. Questions/challenges, I would say. The challenge of thinking what I could bring to the international project, because sometimes researchers and scientists work in their own teams, in labs, and it is very difficult and tricky to develop these skills actually and translate their research into real practice. So reflecting on my background in conspiracy theories, my expertise and current research, especially post-PhD, during my postdoctoral, this role in digipads helped me broaden my theoretical and practical expertise, translating all my research based on social identities, trust, misinformation into real practice, developing practical tools to combat misinformation and real challenges which our societies deal with, especially in current crisis, COVID, climate change. I had also the opportunity to adapt my interdisciplinary work and develop also psychological insights which helped develop practical interventions, tools, technical interventions, policy-driven frameworks as well. So actually, my theoretical and research empirical expertise helped develop and inform this practical policy-making perspective of digipads. Another actually aspect, layer of my experience, my previous experience, which somehow contributed to my role in digipads, has to do with this bridge, this connection from empirical understanding to developing these interventions. So I somehow had the opportunity to move beyond the traditional hypothesis testing approach and empirical analysis to develop effective and policy impactful strategies, specifically focused on the role of misinformation, which is my area of expertise. And something that actually it is an ongoing process is to reflect on my own perspective, because oftentimes when we join these transnational projects as researchers, we have the opportunity also to reflect on our personal journey, what brought us to this project, and also we have the opportunity to revisit our epistemological stances, our research, empirical, theoretical approaches. So it is a very good critical, also self-reflective and self-improving practice for us as researchers. The other challenge actually is what actually is the take-home, what are the take-home skills, what actually develop as a researcher and we develop as a researcher for you as policymakers in these projects in terms especially of transferability skills. So the first layer of these transferable skills, which I developed during the last 2 years in my role as consortium member in DigiPatch, has to do with these applied research skills. I felt that I strengthened my abilities to translate social psychology, experimental social psychology, to real practice issues and solving societal challenges. Also, something which is very important is that I developed a global network of research collaborators, which allowed me I believe that allows us also to speak different languages, different epistemological, scientific languages. As Annetta said very well before, this transition from quantitative to qualitative, sometimes, although challenging, can be very interesting one when we see ourselves communicating these different languages with different collaborators in these international projects. Also, I had the opportunity to enhance the public impact awareness to, let's say, tick the box of making empirical research impactful for real challenges, real life issues. And last but not least, develop this kind of flexibility to catch exactly the challenge which arises in the here and now. For example, now we all deal with war crisis, climate change crisis. So joining this project allowed me to somehow take the opportunity to translate my research in solving challenges that arise in the here and now, which also have a more future and long-term benefits for the society, for our societies as well. The short answer, if I had to recommend to early career researchers, PhD students, postdoctorals, to join transnational projects, the answer is yes, because they actually joining these projects allow them to internationalize their research, make their research impactful, and also develop these transferable skills to make their research impactful also for policymakers and not only academics. Thank you so much again. Pleasure to meet you all, and very happy to answer your questions.
Thank you very much. So we're now moving on to the Q&A part. If you haven't done it yet, there's no QR code on this one. Let me just go back. There's a QR code there. If you want to ask a question, please do scan the QR code, but obviously you can also just raise your hand and we can get you engaged that way. I will now hand over to Sarah, who will be taking over for this part of the session.
Thank you all, that was great. For those of you who don't know, my name is Sarah Perry. I'm really excited to be on this panel because we have been leading the knowledge exchange across the Chance program that brings together more than 600 researchers in these 26 projects, and we have tried to foreground early career researchers' interests in the design of these knowledge exchange activities. So it's just really awesome to be on the panel with you. I have a few questions for you individually about your particular presentations. And then if we see others come through online, or if you want to raise your hand and ask anything, please do. Okay. I'll kick it off and then come back to the crowd. I wanted to start with Annetta because we were in a conversation last evening with a couple of the other project leads on Chance. And one of the things that we got into a conversation about was this experience that some of us have had that have worked in industry before, where there was a sense that in our workplaces, you could make a decision about whether you were going to climb the corporate ladder or not, and that there, depending on the workplace, but in many of the workplaces we'd been in, there was the training available to learn some of the fundamental skills that are required to move up that ladder. And I wanted to ask you about to what extent you feel that postdocs, and I guess in your past as a PhD student, that you were primed with some of those critical skills that allow you to develop your research leadership. And I don't mean research skills, I mean like HR experience, administrative experience, mentoring, coaching, all of those things that so much of the labor of a research leader is about, is a lot of bureaucratic work. And I was wondering to what extent you feel that you're primed to do that as an early career researcher.
Do you ask about my experience from HR mostly, or from PhD, right? And from previous scientific experience? I think when it comes to research methods, we are quite well prepared, right? But when it comes to research leadership, to be honest, I don't want to be too critical, but to be honest, we didn't have any subjects over the course of the PhD regarding leadership in academia. So these are our very personal experiences, and of course, our mentors are guiding us in terms of writing process, in terms of elaborating and intellectual depth of our research. But to be honest, we just learn by observing the examples, observing our role models. And that is the way that I learn from my supervisor, Dr. Miłosz Miszczyński, who is a great leader, and other principal investigator, Patricia Zanoni from Belgium, who is also great in leadership. So I think that I'm led by example, not by knowledge that is taught on academia.
Thank you so much. I think that was our common experience as well. And the concern, of course, is that if you didn't have a great role model or didn't have a mentor that was able to support you through the learning of those skills, which are very challenging and very different from general research skills, that there isn't an ability to progress. So we were wondering if maybe there was a bit of a gap in some of the training that was available. Thank you so much. I would like to ask Dorota now. I was really interested in the kind of recommendations that you were putting forward at the end of your presentation. And one of the things you mentioned was an accessible pathway for teams to apply for research funding. And I wondered, in your mind, what does that accessible pathway look like? And you'll just need to press on the bottom, the button, yeah, at the bottom. Down.
The silver one.
There, the silver one. Yeah.
Thank you. I think about the pathways that can help in applying for the grant with the colleagues with the same room we work with, and To be honest, I'm not really good, because I'm studying religion, and this word of grants, applying, etc. It's still for me challenging sometimes. So I'm not very good oriented, maybe. But as can I see, my colleagues are applying for grants and prepare some positions for people who should work with them. And but sometimes on the level of preparing the grant proposal, in this moment we are just working together on this project.
So after this, when the grant application was successful and someone had the grant, it's a competition for the position, for example, of researcher. And this is a good practice, I think, because it opened academic space for collaboration with new people and also limits some kind of nepotism in academia. And I think it's a great solution. But in humanistics, there's not many ways to building a long-term working team. And this is a problem, I think.
Thank you so much. I was really taken by your point around the intra-institutional collaborations and reflecting on it in my own work, where within my own institution, there are quite a few funds to allow it to happen within the institution, within an institutionally funded project, but to do it in an international project where the institution can also be interdisciplinary, it felt like something I hadn't quite reflected on enough, and it really feels like a gap in the opportunities. So thank you so much for broaching that. I know that there was at least one question in the audience, and I have a couple more for Monica and Theo. So did you have, yes? Okay. So right over here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. My name is Anis Heather, and I have just completed one European Horizon project, Polonez Biz 2, as principal investigator at University of Warsaw. And recently, we have started another project of Opus 27 NCN project. And I have been reviewer of this chance reviewing system as a reviewer of some kind of projects. And one thing I did not find in the projects might be, it was the assumption that how do you tackle the challenges in the collaboration system? For example, how would you deal the conflict of interest between the collaborators? So for example, GDPR system is differently implemented in different European countries. So being field researchers now, what do you think, what are the challenges that should be taken care of when we are going to submit our collaborated research projects? For example, GDPR, or if there are some kind of conflicts between the project leaders or principal investigators, how do you deal those? Whether these are corresponded or tracked or sent back to the NCBR, European Horizon, or chance funding scheme, or you internally decide such kind of conflicts that this should not be happen and let's have some kind of agreement on such issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's a great question. I was wondering if any of you have witnessed some of this happening. So yeah, shall I start with Theo and then to you?
Is it open? Fantastic. Thank you for this question. It has always been a challenge to somehow let's say, pick the right collaborators, both academics and externals, I mean policy makers. In my experience, actually, starting firstly with adherence to open science practices, we do a proper mapping out of stakeholders. So who we can bring on board. And this process sometimes actually is, I would say, longer than developing the proposal itself, because we need to be very careful to combine different expertise, regardless of you know, long-term collaboration, previous collaboration. Sometimes this is not the right criterion. Of course, we are tempted actually to pick those collaborators whom we know well. Probably we are friends and we know them as personalities, but this is not always the right criterion. So to me, it all has to do with a proper mapping out of stakeholders, and I would say, at least from my experience from other projects, not exactly from DigiPass, because I joined DigiPass when the consortium was already established, is that actually it depends what you want to achieve with this project. If you want to make an impact, for example, societal impact, of course you have to broaden your horizons from your immediate network. But for me, in a nutshell, and to sum it up, I think it has to do with a very careful mapping out of the needs of your projects and the right stakeholders which can meet these criteria. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you for this question. I think it's quite relevant, yeah. And from my perspective, each national context is quite different, and we have different stakeholders. And I would refer to first our database, which is connected with the raw data that we gather during the collection process. And we cannot share it with other countries, with other universities. So we, of course, collaborate by comparative studies, but we cannot share the data, the raw ones, yeah. So this is the first thing. Another one, we anonymize the identity of our stakeholders, of our respondents, informants. So this is the second way to protect them, right? So that is my answer that came up to my mind at first.
Thank you. And if I may, just a couple of things that were on my mind when you were speaking. As a project lead of one of the Chance projects, I would say that I found Chance to be a really flexible scheme. So when we have experienced issues, we have been able to navigate around them, because unlike some of the other funding schemes that we've been successful with, there wasn't a lot of wiggle room in terms of navigating some of the problems. So that's just a little pitch for how wonderful I think the initiative has been overall. But specifically with respect to GDPR, this has come up across virtually every project as an incredibly problematic issue that is making it very difficult for the projects to be able to be successful. If you didn't want to have to anonymize the data because your participants actually want to have a voice in the research, that GDPR makes this very challenging as well. And we are funding a cross-Chance project to put forward policy guidance for the future of GDPR. So that will be out. We've just launched it. It's being led by Josh Edelman at Manchester Metropolitan University, who's running one of the other Chance projects. And over the course of the next year, they're putting together resources to try to deal specific, or try to provide a bit more guidance specifically on that matter. So thank you so much. I see there's another question up there.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Małgorzata Jakobs, National Science Center, Poland, funding agency. I have actually two questions to you. I'm very honored that you are here and you're sharing with us your thoughts. How do you deal actually on personal level with competitiveness and the fact of being evaluated, which is typical for academia, and again, something else than competitiveness in business? So the field of academia massively changed, which is in the past years, which is very visible, especially in Poland. Within 10 years, we switched from to grant system, basically. So this is also a change in mindset of researchers. And we hear a lot of criticism as an agency that the evaluation system is not fair. Yes, of course, because 80% of the grantees are rejected. So basically, in terms of business, we are not doing a good job. On the other hand, we have nothing better than the peer review evaluation system. And I wanted to ask you, how do you deal with this competitiveness, with this feeling of being evaluated, and how can we meet you halfway?
Great question. Does anybody have any immediate thoughts about how you handle competitiveness?
I can try.
All right.
It's a real challenge, actually. I'm trying several times to use this kind of unfair or challenging system as an opportunity to self-improve and make myself also, my ideas or my proposals more competitive in terms of increasing, let's say, the impact of my research. It has been a challenge, and always I have to say I'm personally reflecting on the fair or unfair evaluations and competitiveness or unfair evaluation as a result of this competitiveness, because especially in environments where we know each other, and their anonymity actually is very difficult to be secured. At the very end, I think that good quality proposals, good quality ideas, which involve different voices from not only from academia but also beyond academia, could probably somehow mitigate the risk. I'm not talking about completely securing, fairness and transparency, but at least, making the risks a bit less risky, I would say. Thank you.
From my experience, I think it's mostly about the right publication strategy. So me and my supervisor, at the beginning of our journey, we assumed or we decided to find some journals that we aim at over the next years, and we tried to publish just there. And these are journals not only 4-star, the best worldwide journals, but also some trade-offs when it comes to the publication process, to get some win-win, right? Like the publication process takes 1 year, not 3 or 4 years in the maybe lower positioned journals, but it's still something which is accountable, which is fine at this stage of career. So we built my position by this publication strategy and starting from the accessible journals and then to go for more ambitious one, I would say.
Monica and Dorota, in the earlier stages of your PhD, to what extent do you say you feel this competitiveness?
Yeah, I do. It's something that already we can feel when applying for a position at a doctoral school. And what I have found useful for someone at my stage is just like relying on your immediate environment and your immediate colleagues for guidance. It was very helpful for me, and I've seen other colleagues do it, to just maybe set up a meeting and talk over the grant proposal idea in our the closest environment, and that would be my thought. This is what I try to rely on for the time being.
Thank you so much.
I have the same observations that Anna about the long term of revisions of our papers, and it's hard to publish in terms. But I know that National Center of Science Poland have the opportunities to publish this papers in revisions, and that is a great option. And I think also maybe more work or more support can we receive through our institutions. For example, I observe my colleagues that prepare grant proposals in their free time, not in the work time. So it's much harder.
There's a modeling of good behavior that, yeah. Yes, I understand completely. One thing that we talk a lot about in the project that I run is being able to take time to deal with the difficult emotions that come with that, like to talk them through, and just put the emotions out there rather than kind of bottling it all up as well. So, but I completely agree with you that there's so much there around modeling of behavior, and it goes back to the point about the things that you're being trained implicitly to do going forward. If most of this training is actually for the future of research is actually coming through watching rather than through formal training. I had another question for you, Monica, before we move into a kind of general discussion of some wider issues about collaboration.
There's also one question.
Yeah. Well, there's quite a few. I think I'm just, oh, sorry. Oh, forgive me, thank you. I'm doing a poor job as moderator. Sorry, Pavel,
no,
go for it.
Perfect job. I just have maybe somehow related question. Because some of you mentioned that, first of all...
Could you turn on the microphone?
I guess it's on. Well, that's just, I try to speak up. Some of you said that it's a privilege to be part of academia. I fully agree. I guess we should really acknowledge it more. So thank you for this one. And also, you, Theophilus, you said that, in fact, you like somehow the flexibility. So my question would be about precariousness. Because when I talk to early career researchers, this is what they would emphasize. So my question would be, what's your take on this? And I'm not sure if there are some strategies, how to deal with, because flexibility is of course advantage, but for early career researchers, it can be a serious burden. So the question, how you see also your long-term career path?
Okay, I can start. I think it's a very difficult question. I'm in a position which is quite different than PhD students full-time emerged in a project, I'm embedded in a project. But from my perspective, that was my deliberate choice to start working in business before joining the academia, just to allow myself to buy an apartment, have a baby. This is very maybe basic need. But then I decided to transition when I were in a situation or in a position that I can afford it, right? So for now, I'm a definite contract, because the project is a 3 years project. But then there is a huge role of our mentors, whether they want to retain us and help us at the next stages of the career. So for instance, I speak with my mentor for the last 2 hours about next steps after the project. And we have prepared 3 scenarios. How can I be involved in academia after the project will be completed? So I think huge responsibility of mentors, and on the other hand, our own situation that can just lead us to be in this precarious employment. Yeah.
Thank you, Annette. You raise a very interesting point about the trust you develop with your collaborator, your team. This is my experience as well. It all depends on with whom you collaborate, and that person or team should invest on your skills. And we have actually a kind of a similar alternative plans strategy when working with a team. Let me share actually one of my experiences with an advice actually I got 3 years ago during a research visit I did in Italy from my collaborator that time and now long-term collaborator, that when you try to establish your career and deal with uncertainties of academia, try not to be a bee, not to fly from group to group because you think that actually this is a right thing to do. So it's not about being somewhere all the times. It depends also with whom you collaborate with and whether that person or that team invests on your skills and your potential in the long term. Thank you.
Thank you so much. In the interest of time, I'm just going to ask each of you some of the wider questions that we've already discussed before, and I may just point to individuals to respond to particular ones. So our NCN colleagues helped to prepare some of these questions, which I found really fascinating, including the first one about what does autonomy look like to you. And I wanted to turn this to Dorota, because Dorota, you were talking a lot about the lone kind of hero, lone scholar model. And I just wonder how you think autonomy fits in with that, and what does autonomy look like for you, and can you be something other than the lone hero, whilst also developing autonomy?
Yeah, I think autonomy is very important, but it is also.
Can you pull the?
But it is also a part of the lone genius myth. But for me, autonomy means that I can choose the topic of my interest, or I can basically do my research. Very often with my collaborators, with my teams. To be honest, I feel I have a lot of autonomy in my work. Also in my PhD preparation and choosing the topics, and also in the international teams in digital Islam. But I think this myth of autonomy is sometimes, maybe in a Polish context especially, and this neoliberal frame, very, maybe the more important and more, we focus on this topic too much sometimes, and I wonder if it helps with the working team, the sense of autonomy, or maybe it is sometimes a problem.
Thank you so much. As I ask the other questions, I'm also interested to hear other people's perspectives on the concept of autonomy. So if you want to toss this in as well, that would be great. And Theo, I wanted to ask you the second question there around, you did hint at this many times, I think, in your presentation about what being in an international project means to you. But as we discussed previously, I think it would be also interesting to hear more about what advice you would give to somebody else who's joining an international project, how to make the most of carving their way through that project.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's always a question I even asked myself when I was doing my PhD. The advice I would have to give to PhD students or postdoctorals, early careers who are somehow curious to explore a bit more this international world of projects, transnational projects, is to broaden their horizons and try to think of their research not only as part of a lab. The empirical research can be 10 times more impactful as, publishing in a good journal. Considering also the concept of autonomy, I would encourage scholars who would like to embark on this kind of being part of a consortium to make autonomous choices and take autonomous initiatives to even try and formulate their own groups of collaborators, because it can also be a sign of a good autonomy. It's not only being do research by yourself. It's just having good, proper criteria to actually somehow formulate your own target audience and target group. I have to say actually that this raises a very important, not necessarily concern, but something that I think the educational system should take into account to train students, even from the master level, to engage with community, because it is something that oftentimes we miss in academic research. And I would definitely encourage even master students to take opportunities to develop networks also with policymakers, stakeholders, and try to make the research more impactful and speak these different languages.
Perfect. That's a nice transition to the next question, which I was hoping to ask Monica about around how you think that working on a transnational project has changed your perspectives on academia and industry. And also there was a question too about working in science communication specifically and that kind of mediation of different audiences through different forms of communication. So it would be great to hear more about your general perspective on working in the project, but also how you're communicating between parties and what role you see yourself having in enabling that communication.
Yes, thank you very much. I would say that it has impacted my, my views on academia and industry quite a lot, in particular regarding the troubles in actually translating our results into something that would be of interest of policymakers or other institutions. It actually made me realize how difficult it is to produce something that other parties outside of academia can use. And I even noticed that when collaborating with survey companies who have both academic and non-academic clients, that the expectations of those clients are very different a lot of the times, and they sometimes don't realize that, you know, when you're researchers, you're concerned with things like pre-registrations and other stuff that maybe other parties don't. So yeah, I think that it's a very sort of underexplored thing in academia to try to bridge that gap between our research and the real world. And I also think that regarding the science communication, I think that I learned quite a lot of science communication by doing teaching practice and to try to sometimes even use my experiences, research experiences from the project to explain certain concepts to students. I don't know if it's something that everyone will find useful, but that was certainly the case for me. So maybe, yeah, that's my thoughts.
Thank you. It's great. I mean, that ability, especially to communicate to first-year undergraduate students in a way that brings them into the subject matter is, thank you for mentioning that. I think there's a lot of skill there that can be applied in many contexts. And then Annetta, we've talked in the panel and then in your presentation as well about the role of mentors in your work, and I guess I'm specifically interested in, now that you're in the kind of progressing along the path of a research leader, what role you think that research funding agencies have in shaping your career going forward?
Thank you for touching this topic. I think the role is huge, especially when it comes to humanities and social sciences. I have an impression that natural sciences, engineering, technological sciences are much more developed and grounded when it comes to the collaboration between academia, organization, and stakeholders. There is a lot of, broad narrative about how to transform or how to get some patents when it comes to technology, engineering, and natural sciences. But when it comes to social sciences and humanities, I think this is not that developed yet. That's why I think the role of founding agencies is huge in transforming that kind of thinking. Maybe I will share one of the anecdote from my field work. When I met people from one organization that I conducted study in, after the interviews, they told me that they were afraid about me because I was from academia, and they were afraid that I will be just the posh intellectualist that will not understand them. And for them, it was quite a surprise that I was just a, normal person who talked to them about the typical or the common challenges that they encounter. So yeah, I think the role of grants project and funding agencies, especially in social sciences, is huge.
Thank you so much. As we get into the last couple of minutes of the session, we would like to turn some of the responsibility onto you as the audience now. There's a lot of people here from different backgrounds, different disciplines and subject areas, different levels of expertise, and it would be great to have you share a little bit of your experience with the audience. I don't know if you knew that this was going to be the question, but please.
Thank you very much. I also have a question, by the way. My name is Nurlan Rahimli. I'm also first-year PhD student at Koziminski University. My question is based on the presentation by Aneta Pechka, but I would love to hear the opinion from all of you. You mentioned the point about building your identity as part of your academic journey, and I would like to know how do you think choosing your core research questions or more in general questions that you are intellectually curious about, how do those questions impact or shape your identity as a scholar? And in addition to that, maybe this comes from my overthinker nature, but I would love to know, do you ever experience that while you think about your research question and you go deeper and deeper, but you eventually end up with also dealing with somehow existential questions? Thank you.
Who wants to tackle this? Go for it, Theo.
Thank you for this question. I think actually identifying proper research questions is part of our professional identity. Especially when we deal with the challenge of being consistent, and especially for early career researchers who actually, for whom it is crucial and necessary to have a specific kind of voice in academia. So we don't need, for example, to do 10 different things because we are not making ourselves visible in academia. Because people know, for example, would know us, for example, as that person who is doing research on psychology, on history, on whatever. So actually, these research questions, I think, comes as a kind of our continuous reflexivity on who we are as researchers and where we want to go as researchers. So definitely, I fully agree that it is part of our identity. It should be part of our identity, and we should treat it as part of our identity. It is challenging when we think that actually our kind of research questions are somehow not in line with ongoing challenges. They don't respond to real challenges, and they somehow risk our impact making. So that time I think we need to somehow revisit these crucial questions, who we are, always as researchers, and where we want to go. But I definitely treat it as part of professional voice and identity.
Thank you, Theo. So again, it would be great, since we have so many in the audience, it's nice to have a little bit of interactivity with you to get some thoughts on your perspective. I can see that Malgorzata's got her hand up. Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you very much. I feel put on the spot through these questions. Being a representative of a funding agency, and it should be stated from the outset that from the perspective of a research funding agency, supporting early career researchers is one of the top priorities. And to put it into numbers, 32% of the total funding in NCN was allocated to young researchers. 59% of all projects awarded funding are being carried out by young researchers. So these are great numbers. And on the other hand, yes, we are aware of many problems that you discussed today, and we recognize difficulties related to the lack of financially attractive offers, limited number of positions, high specialization requirements, and often the necessity of mobility. These are aspects that are important to us, and we also acknowledge the challenges related to the dual career, which was mentioned today. And I think these dual career opportunities still remain less accessible for early career researchers than for the advanced researchers. And if I may answer also the second question, and take this unique opportunity to discuss with you, I think this long-term thinking about your career path and competitiveness, and a clear path and method of career should be really one of the main points at the beginning of your career. Why? Because I saw thousands of applications, and it is every time visible if you have a strategy of publication. One of you mentioned that I sat together with my mentor, and we had a clear strategy, and this is visible, this is highly appreciated, and this stands out versus ad hoc publications. So this is clearly visible during evaluation panels. And one last thing I would like to add is just please serve the truth, because it entails the service of a high quality research. So I think you are the best example of being in a unique moment within Chance, and you can multiply your experience to your peers that are not involved in such transnational collaboration. So thank you for your work.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Just to wrap up, I was going to pose it as a question, but since we had a little chat right beforehand, I thought I would just put it out there as a reflection. I was going to pose the question to the panel, but also to you as the audience about what we are doing to support early career researchers in terms of their own green consciousness, in terms of being good planetary citizens going forward, in terms of developing not only their skills, but also my skills as a project leader in being environmentally aware. So much of this conference, we've been talking about things like green transitions, and we discussed what is the training that is being given to early career researchers and other research leaders in terms of themselves being green conscious and actively involved and actively aware of the impacts that their research is having on the environment, and also skilled in being able to manage those impacts going forward. These, of course, are our future research leaders, right? And I don't know if you think it's fair to summarize, but I feel most of us feel there isn't a lot of training right now in how to become those future green leaders in our own research areas. We talked a little bit, Theo mentioned this idea about surely the opportunities of working transnationally and transdisciplinarily should be allowing us to develop some of that skill set. And we also talked a little bit about how much of this is an individual responsibility versus a team responsibility versus our funding bodies and other agencies also requiring some long-term consciousness about our green awareness and our green impacts. So anybody who has tips, leadership models to follow, etc., around becoming good planetary citizens, that would be very welcome. I will pass it over to Louisa to say the last words, and thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, just to say a final thank you to all our panelists. Thank you for Sarah for moderating the really great discussions, getting lots of insights from our speakers, and I think they deserve another round of applause.
And I thank you very much for building that pillar of this Krakow to London bridge here in Warsaw. And here in Warsaw, we are finishing the last session of the conference. So thank you very much. And I believe that the panelists deserve a very, very hot round of applause, because that's the applause for all the 60 people who shared the minds, shared the experience with you. We've had as many as 60 or even more speakers, because I also count all those of you, ladies and gentlemen, who have asked your questions. Some of them, like, for example, the last one, definitely contributing a lot and being also informative. So a very big round of applause to you, our dear audience. Never believe when they tell you you're not a contributor. So this is the end of Europe and Mobilities conference. Europe goes on, and so does mobility. And I believe that the journey does not end here. It's end of a conference, and it's just another path, one that we all must take to put the conclusions into effect and to transform all the reflections that we have into action, into change. But I believe that more about that and all the true things we should hear from the architect and the soul of the project. I have the honor to invite here Mr. Paweł Kaczmarczyk.
Don't worry, we are really getting close to the lunch. We are after 2.5 days of very intensive discussions and exchanges. And I would very strongly emphasize this exact point, as in my opinion, these interactions are not only very valid, important, but also they extended beyond this room. So I know that many of you wanted to have more time for QA sessions. This is what we just try to accommodate somehow. But at least I believe that it was possible just to have these discussions and ask questions, receive answers, also during coffee breaks and lunch breaks. So I guess they are as important as what happened here in the room. But to the point, because I should somehow wrap up or sum up the conference, I guess it's impossible. It's impossible because the scope was very broad, and discussions, they were even more diverse. So I wouldn't even go to make a kind of synthetic summary. So instead, I just decided that maybe I would just share with you a few observations, and this, of course, my subjective takeaways from the conference. So we covered several themes identified as important for the recent and future situation of Europe. And of course, the catalog was not exhaustive, but it's quite interesting that when you just saw this morning the research program, there are so many similarities. So I'm really happy that we managed somehow, we didn't know, of course, the research program before, but apparently there are so many linkages. So I hope we somehow contributed to this debate. The second point, in most of the cases we discussed, it seems that the public debate is strongly myth-driven. And this is the point we started with. We started discussing migration with Hein de Haas, and how many myths they are present in public debate. But this is not only about migration. This is about enlargement policies, this is about demography, this is about green energy, exactly as Sarah mentioned. However, what is really important, and maybe this is the key point from my point of view, that in all cases, opportunities really prevail. And of course, that was the case of migration, as shown by Hein de Haas. That was the case of demography. I'm not sure if you remember, but in this case, we discussed also longevity and life expectancy, not focusing on lowest low fertility and this kind of grimy issues. The EU enlargement we discussed on the very first day, the EU enlargement, which in fact is a big success story of European Union. So in many cases, these opportunities are really important, and I guess this is one of the challenges. So we should feed public debate with positive narratives. And that was one of the key issues discussed during the conference. So how to deal with myths, with fake news, fake narratives, with conspiracy theories, just how to try to bring more positive narratives into the debate. And one of the conclusions, because you maybe remember, yesterday we had the excellent keynote by Natalie Welfens, when she just tried to look at migration research and just try to show us why, in fact, it may look like it has so little impact. I'm sorry again, because I know the point. But the conclusion was that maybe what we need more smart interaction and smart exchanges. So that's why I believe that what we are doing here during the conference, we will still do, is absolutely critical point. Interactions, smart exchanges, and changing also the debate. And important point to note is also that, of course, conference ends very soon, but the project does not end here. So we are approaching the end of the Polish presidency in the EU Council, but in fact, our project will continue for next few months because we would like to share and maintain our results. So we will focus now on communication and dissemination activities, so please stay tuned. We will approach you very soon, asking also maybe for your contribution, your reactions, but definitely we will produce several policy briefs. All of the recordings, the sessions, they are available online. So we'll just try to do as much as possible to maintain the results. Something I guess we maybe forgot, there is also open contest for the best essay on EU enlargement dynamics. So it's already available on the webpage. We'll share it as widely as possible. So we encourage not only students, but all of you, if you like. We have also prizes. So stay tuned. And of course, I would be happy to use this opportunity to say thank you again. I already mentioned several people when we started, but right now I would like to mention again at least 4 names, and these are Adam Suwiński, Mateusz Krempa, Olga Wanicka, and Romek Brzeziński. Romek is not with us, but these 3 are, you know them very well because you've been in touch with them all the time during the preparation process. And I would like to say special thanks to Adam Suwiński, who is hiding somewhere here. And just a brief comment. University of Warsaw owes a lot to the Excellence Initiative. You may know that Excellence Initiative is a special program dedicated to increase the quality of Polish universities, research universities. And if I would have to name one thing, I would refer to managers of science. Managers of science, they're a group of people, they appeared at the university because of the Excellence Initiative. Adam is one of them, and in my opinion, he has proven to be an excellent manager. So thank you. And I would maybe suggest the following division of responsibilities. If something went wrong, just feel free to blame me. All good things happen because of Adam, so please give applause to Adam. He's just hiding there. And my sincere thanks also go to our excellent moderator, Piotr Krasnowolski. Thank you for being with us. And frankly, thank you also for making this event truly special. So big thanks. And finally, these are my last sentences. I'm not sure if you still remember, but yesterday we discussed several research projects, as also today, and one of these projects was titled Timed. Remember? So one of the important messages there was we should be prepared to do nothing. So I know that some of you will join very soon the brokerage side event, but apart from this, please, use your Friday and weekend wisely. So just do nothing. Thank you.
But before you do nothing, there is still something waiting for you outside to be consumed, eaten, drunk. And after that, although no part of the conference, we could call it a sidecar, a side effect, at 1 p.m. you have your opportunity to present ideas for Cluster 2, Destination 3 topics. That's at the Faculty of History. And then there will be Horizon Europe side event, Cluster 2 on-site brokerage meetings. and that's the other part which will end at around 3:30, also at the Faculty of History. Thank you very much and hope to see you whenever we meet again.